Hello everyone, and welcome to this special astrology video, which is going to be all about the upcoming Gemini full moon on December 4th. I know I didn't make new moons and full moon videos every 2 weeks in the past months and weeks, but I think this one is definitely worth making a video about it because it's going to be this eclipse-like energy about it. It's directly aspecting the nodes. And if you have been following my astrology videos for a while, then you know that whenever we're aspecting the nodes, which talk about karma, collective karma, past and future, there are some important events coming up around the time of this full moon. So give it a few days before, December 4th, a few days after. I'm personally already feeling the effect of this Gemini full moon. And plus, it's a super full moon, which means that it's going to be extra powerful. It's closer to the earth, so we feel its influence even more. And since it's a full moon in Gemini, so we're going to be completing an important phase that maybe had started around Gemini season of this year, so around May, or even before that. But try to think what was going on for you in the month or in and around the month of May. And for me personally, it is when I decided to reprioritize my creative project of creating an oracle deck. So isn't it crazy? And I didn't plan it this way, I swear, but universe has mysterious ways of working in our favor. And I'm completing the chapter of receiving my oracle deck and launching my oracle deck. So I'm super excited about that. Let me share that with you. So this is the cover. So if you have been seeing the launch show that we did, Sophie and I, on Monday, we just launched this beautiful baby. This is a bilingual one. So there's a cover in French, Le Royaume de la Déesse, and a cover in English, The Queendom of Heaven. So we're going to be starting by pulling cards for this full moon to see what's the general energy about it. And then we're going to talk about the astrology. I made a slide. I think I'm going to try to do a short video about it, but I think it's super important to share because a lot of different choices and possibilities are going to be appearing and are going to be presented to us around the time of this full moon. So let's start with the cards without further ado. So these are the cards, the back of the cards. And I'm going to ask Spirit or my guides to pull a card to see what's the general energy for everybody watching this video for the full moon in Gemini. What's the energy of this full moon in Gemini? Okay. Interesting. Okay, so the first card that I have is Scorpio. So I do have a little bit less than half of the cards, which are goddesses cards. So the archetypes of the goddess. And then I have astrology cards, which this one is part of them. And then I have other, let's say, cosmic events involving Mother Earth and her cycle. So this one, the first one that we have is Scorpio, and I'm going to pull a second one to see what's the energy of this full moon in Gemini. And then, oh, okay. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so the other one that I have is the card, I hope you can see the colors, but it's a card that says the coral. And this is a special card. So I put 3 special cards in the deck, which are represented by plants, flowers. This one is the coral. So it says sacred co-creation and inspiration. So it's a super creative card. It's a card also about creating your own destiny. And I love because we're going to talk about that with the astrology. So okay, deep changes. This is what I'm seeing with those 2 cards. Deep changes with the Scorpio cards. And if we read below, it says, I wrote, transform darkness into light, heal, alchemize. And it's super interesting because we have a grand trine helping us at the moment of this full moon in Gemini. A grand trine is highly beneficial. It's like the universe working in our favor to help us, to send us some help. A trine is a helping aspect. and it's a water grand trine. So we have that between Mercury, between Jupiter and Saturn. And Mercury is in Scorpio here. So it's like the universe is helping us with a big transformation, a change, maybe end a big cycle of transformation. This is kind of what I'm feeling with the full moon. And then sacred co-creation with the other card for me, it's like we have a lot of free will rather, around this full moon in Gemini. And we really are able to be a creator of our own destiny and to be creative and to have divine inspiration. But also like we're going to get downloads. This is what I'm seeing here with, the coral upside down. And we're going to have a lot of downloads that are going to inspire us to truly transform our reality, which I love because I think there is this karmic aspect to this full moon in Gemini, the universe stepping in order to push us into making important decisions. But also, we do have a lot of free will. So, okay, and just before I show you the slide and the chart, I wanted to say if you are interested into getting one of those, this is the creation that I just birthed, ready for this full moon in Gemini. Gemini is all about writing, speaking, communication. So it is what I did. Like I was creative. I created 44 cards, artwork, and also the booklet. So it's like I wrote a book too. And I'm super proud of it. And I think the deck has beautiful magical energy to elevate our frequencies and really work with the divine feminine energy and its cycles. So I'm super proud of it. If you'd like to get your hands on this deck, this is the time to do it. And I launched a special discount, especially for the promo. So the launch promo rather, and it's going to be until December 14. So there is a 15% off if you buy one and a 20% off for two or more. And plus I'm adding to that, I created some little magnets that I'm going to add to every order for the 200 first orders. So you can really put your guidance card for the week or the day on your fridge or any surface that is magnetized. So, okay, let's now talk about astrology. Astrology. Okay, let me show you the chart really quickly. Here we are. So the sun here we're in Sagittarius season, in the middle of Sagittarius season at 13 degrees. And then we have the moon directly opposite the sun because it's a full moon. So this is normal, 13 degrees. So if you have anything at 13 degrees of Sagittarius, of Gemini, but also Virgo, Pisces, this is going to be an even more important full moon for you. And then the other thing I wanted to show you is that it's making this grand cross with the nodes. So this opposition here with the sun and the moon, and then we have another opposition here with the north node and the south node, also at 13 degrees. So this is a direct grand cross, a very exact grand cross. Well, not by minutes, but by degrees. So very, very powerful. And whenever we have that in astrology, it talks about important decisions. And Gemini is talking about multiple possibilities. So we do have multiple possibilities of what's the direction that we want to take moving forward for our lives. And for me, for example, I have this full moon in my 10th house of career, of future. So I'm going to have probably very important decisions to make regarding like what's next. Let's say after this oracle deck, what do I want to create next? What do I want to talk about next? Gemini, what do I want to use my voice for with Gemini? And the other thing that I'd like to share with you, and we're going to talk about that in the slide too, but also the ruler, which is Mercury, and just turned direct. So Mercury is super important around this full moon. It's making a quasi opposition to Uranus. It's already in an opposition, but it's going to be exact on the 10th of December, making the third and last opposition. And I'm sure you're going to be like, oh, okay, are we done with this opposition just yet? Because it brings a lot of, let's say, sudden, unexpected shifts, messages, communications that can be a little bit disruptive in nature because we're not expecting them, which is the nature of Uranus, of course. But then now because it's the third and last one, because Mercury passed here and then was retrograde, and then it's going to pass over those degree for one last time this year, or around the time. So I think we're already sort of aware of what is the subject, at least not necessarily like the exact messages that are going to come to us or the exact information, but rather like I think we have an idea of what's brewing at this time, because Mercury was in the underground, the underworld, and we had a lot of thinking, deep thinking, especially in Scorpio, to do about like what needs to be changed, what needs to be transformed in our lives. And now that it's making this opposition, it's like, okay, it's go time, but yes, we can still have some unexpected elements. And then the last thing I want to talk about with this chart is the grand water trine. So you see Mercury is also part of this grand water trine. So it's not just, tough aspects with the opposition. It's also very helping. So Saturn is also part of it. Jupiter is also part of it. And Saturn just turned direct. So also Saturn has our backs, everybody. And Saturn represents order, discipline, limitations. So I think it's also a really good full moon to overcome difficulties, past limitations, because both Mercury and Saturn just turned direct. So there is a lot of emphasis on those two. So communications about past limitations, about past blockages that are now being able to be overridden at the time of this full moon. So super powerful, super powerful. And now let's look at the slide. So I named this one Important Choices and Decisions. And yes, it makes the Grand Cross with the nodes, so important decisions and choices. And for some people, it may be playing out like you have like an actual choice between plan A, plan B, and you need to take a decision. But for other people, it could be more, let's say, like on a bigger perspective, like you need to really choose your next path or your next strategy or your next project, depending on what house it falls. Like, for example, for me in my 10th house, it's going to be more career related. For someone else in the 4th house, it can be more like, what's the next thing you want to do to have more emotional fulfillment at home with your family. A 7th house, for example, it could be a decision regarding partnerships, regarding relationship, collaboration, clients, and so forth. But there are important choices and decisions, and the universe is also going to align the right opportunities for us with whatever we decide, whatever path we choose to go on to after this full moon. So many avenues are possible. We stand at a crossroads at the time of this full moon, and Gemini again represents multiplicity, many possibilities. So and also it's like different dimensions that are coexisting at the same time, and we're really able to choose like what timeline do we want to hop on to. Yeah. And it could also be because it's a full moon in Gemini, and Gemini is all about like being a student of life, learning lessons, learning different things, different skills. So it can also be about the end of an important lesson that we hopefully learned, and we don't need to loop over it over again. So far, I think for most of us, it's also going to represent the end of an important lesson, over a learning experience. And now the universe is kind of testing us with the nodes, and is like, okay, did you really understand the lesson? What choices are you going to make next that prove that you really did understand the lesson this time? Okay. And also we were talking about how Mercury is important. It's the ruler of this full moon. It's in the sign of Scorpio. So Mercury in Scorpio is very investigative. It loves to dive deep. It loves to really focus its energy of communication, of writing, speaking, messages into something, and be laser focused on something that is important. So it's a really good time to be diving deep, to be also observant of people's situations, maybe to take a little step back, not be too involved, and rather like look at it from a distance, strategize, um, analyze from a distance, and also be careful about what we are disclosing with who. Because Mercury in Scorpio is like a little bit like, let me have a little bit of my guard up, not because I don't want to, I want to be closed hearted, if that's even an expression, but more because I'm thinking about strategy. I'm thinking about like, how do I want to, let's say, announce this? How do I want to get about this thing or this communication, this negotiation? And yes, we did talk about this opposition to Uranus. And there could be very important communication messages that you are receiving at this time or that you are sending that lead to a lot of healing because we have, and also the important conversation, the communication, the negotiation happening around the time of the full moon in Gemini could also be leading to a lot of healing of the past, a dissolution of a situation, of a conflict, of something that was really heavy on you, on your energy, on yourself. And I'm saying that because Neptune is a few days before going direct at 29 degree of Pisces, which is like a uber important degree in astrology. It's the very last degree of the zodiac. It's highly karmic. It talks about the dissolution of like past lessons that we learn, karmic lessons. A lot of karma is involved, a lot of healing, forgiveness, this sort of thing. So there's a lot happening around this full moon in Gemini that is highly connected with healing, with Neptune. That will give Neptune the push to finalize its healing process into the last degree of Neptune, and that's going to be until the beginning of next year. Neptune in Pisces, that is. So the Grand Water trine involving Mercury the ruler, so that's why this trine is super powerful and positive, is also involving Saturn, who just turned direct, Jupiter retrograde. So it really talks about how the wheel of karma is turning, and that we are seeing, and starting at the time of this full moon in Gemini, a big change in the energy, a huge change in the energy. I personally feel it a lot. Also, there could be a change of direction, of energy, of like, let's say, on a particular subject that you were experiencing, and now you finally see like, oh, I could, like, let's say, shift my energy to that, or the energy is shifting completely, and you have a totally new perspective, or also you're receiving downloads of different choices and possibilities that you didn't even know existed before. So new information allow for closure, healing, change of direction. So do allow change and be flexible, because we're an immutable sign. Gemini is highly sometimes unpredictable. And the universe, I wrote the last line, the universe is opening up a portal to use our free will to move forward in the direction. Oh, there's a line that is missing, that we wish, which is the last words. Some other things that I wanted to share with you. So because it's a full moon in Gemini, a lot of us could be also ending a project that is involving writing, speaking, social media, connecting with other people, learning lesson, anything that we've learned, that we put our skills to it, that we that involve communication, like I said, could be ending. And for example, I just told you in the beginning, I just finished my oracle deck. I did the launch close to that full moon Gemini. That wasn't planned, because I wanted to launch it 2 weeks ago. That was the initial plan, but then everything got delayed, Mercury retrograde, and the shipment got delayed. Also, I wasn't ready. I didn't receive the marketing advertising photos. Yeah, so that was a little bit of a mess there. So sometimes I laugh at myself and the universe, because as an astrologer, I try to plan stuff according to dates. but then there's always changes, and then finally it realigns itself for the highest good of the situation. And now, like, I didn't plan of having this launch with the full moon Gemini, but here we are. So that's a perfect full moon. And I have also a good friend of mine who have built her own hotel in Dominican Republic, and she lives there, and she's a lovely, lovely girl. And I'm gonna try to show you what she looks like because she's in the Oracle deck as well. Let me try to find her while I talk, which is probably not a good idea because I'm not a multitasker. Yeah, she is. She is. Priscilla, lovely, lovely lady, super proud of her. And interesting because I didn't even think about it when I did her card. I wrote transmute with sacred fire, use your creativity. And it's been 2 years that she's been building a hotel with one of her business partners and friend. And I think she planned initially on finishing the hotel, and she built from scratch. She bought the land. So that was like a huge project, especially like in a foreign country, like having a lawyer, all that stuff, papers and permits to be able to build. Anyways, so she wanted to do that like a lot earlier, but then it aligns here with that full moon in Gemini. She just launched and she's now open for reservations. So I was super proud of her. And she used a lot of her creativity, and like she went through a lot of, like, let's say, obstacles in her personal life that were really tough, but she transmuted them with a lot of creativity. And then she went to a lot of flea markets to buy her deco, but that's really well done. So anyways, I just wanted to share a few examples how like a big project could be ending. And also now she's doing her marketing, like she's doing like her promo videos. So Gemini also rules social media. So I'm doing the same with the Oracle deck as well. Like I'm launching some videos here and there on social media, on Instagram, on YouTube to promote it. So it's like, it's the perfect full moon. Gemini is all about communication. It's about connecting with other people. It's about sharing information, sharing visuals. So, and it could be something that, like, if you're launching something, if you're completing an important project or lesson, or you're sharing something important on your social media, it could be very pivotal and foundational for your future. Because like here we have the nodes exactly with the grand cross of this full moon. So it's like, it's something that we can build upon in the future. And also it's like, it's, and the choices that are presented to us surrounding that that accomplishment or ending or culmination of energy are going to really set the stage for what's going to happen next year. And we did also the 5D news video. Go check it out if you haven't. It was a really good one. We did like a special edition of the 5D news, and I asked Sophie about what do I really want to say here? What she was seeing with the cards about the energy of this full moon in Gemini. And she picked the Oracle card from this deck, which is the Star, which is wishes fulfilled. I'm going to try to find it. And also she pulled the Lovers in her tarot deck. So she said, like, it's a huge portal of manifestation and a very powerful full moon. And she said also, just be careful. Oh, here we go. So this is the card that she pulled, the Star card, wishes fulfilled. And it's basically like you choose which wish. It's the first time that I say those two words after one another. And she said, like, just be careful that what you wish for, basically. So be really mindful and discerning about, like, what do you want to manifest around this full moon, because it's full of possibilities. And also in the astro calendar, I wrote lucky breakthrough. So I think we're going to really experience that lucky breakthrough. And she had also the Lover card, which is all about attracting things to you, manifesting, but also choices. So I think it aligns perfectly. And again, Gemini is also about communication, messages, writing, speaking. and speaking things in our reality. She talked also about like the power of the voice, the power of like the words, using the right words to manifest what you want. Also, writing can be very powerful around this full moon. So also using social media, connecting with other people, working in small groups, which is also the energy of Gemini, movement, driving around. It's like this really excitable energy that we're finally able to move forward after this what felt like a really long Mercury retrograde to me. And also important conversations. Of course, we're probably going to have some of those. So it's really important that the words and the communication reflects the energy that we want to embody. Um, and yeah, like I said, messages, communication, accomplishment that set the stage for major changes. So I think it's really important that we choose carefully what do we want first, but also the words that we want to express, like how do we want to communicate? How do we want to present ourselves? Like what frequency do we want to emit? And also, I think it's a huge full moon, super full moon to really set the stage for 2026. Super excited about it. So thank you for joining me in this astrology special. Do like this video if you enjoy the content. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. And just as a quick note, some people have asked me if there's going to be a 2026 astro calendar. Yes, I am currently working on it. I'm putting all my love and my wisdom for 2026 into it. So it will be launched in the coming days, weeks. Hopefully, it's more days. I'll do my best. And also the 2026 predictions, which are 30-minute reading that Sophie is sending you in a private video, especially for you, personalized for you, are going to be launched very soon too. So stay tuned. A lot going on here at Maison Jupiter. So thank you so much for your love. Thank you for the amazing comments that I received for the Oracle. I love you, and I'll be seeing you very soon. Bye-bye.